The U.S., the Philippines, and other Asian allies are increasing their cooperation to counter what the U.S. calls an expansionist China. But these partners and allies are also being targeted by U.S. trade policies.
The U.S. keeps calling China's rise a threat, but is it really? If you pay attention to the news, it's clear who's turning up the heat. American warships are moving through the South China Sea. Patrols are happening near Taiwan. And now the U.S. is teaming up with the Philippines, a country it once ruled as a colony. To Beijing, this doesn't look like defense. It looks like Washington is deliberately trying to box China in by surrounding its waters and tightening the pressure.
We need to do this with our partners. And again, our strongest partner has always been the United States. Present that position very clearly to anyone who has intentions of unilaterally changing the world order.
The Philippines is the U.S.'s oldest Pacific ally, and the U.S. is treaty obligated to come to its defense. In recent years, that defense relationship has boomed. U.S. and Philippines troops recently held large exercises that for the first time deployed American anti-ship missiles pointed at waters near Taiwan. In fact, in recent years, the U.S. has increased its military presence from the Philippines to Japan, including on bases that are closer to Taiwan than they are to the capitals Manila and Tokyo. The U.S. has prioritized creating multiple regional military alliances willing to confront Beijing together. That's an effort continued under this Trump administration, which has expanded warnings over Taiwan.
Any attempt by Communist China to conquer Taiwan by force would result in devastating consequences for the Indo-Pacific and the world. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. The threat China poses is real, and it could be imminent. We hope not.
The South China Sea has become one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the world today. On paper, Washington says it is only defending freedom of navigation. In reality, U.S. Navy warships and aircraft are carrying out constant patrols, called freedom of navigation operations, sailing right next to Chinese-claimed islands and reefs. To Beijing, this is like a foreign navy cruising just off the coast of California, a blatant provocation disguised as defense. But the U.S. isn't stopping there. Washington is now arming and backing the Philippines, giving military aid, advanced weapons, and intelligence support. Manila, under President Marcos Jr., has aligned closely with Washington, and many analysts see the Philippines turning into a proxy state in America's larger strategy to contain China. Under the new Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, the U.S. now has access to 9 military bases across the Philippines. This is a staggering number, considering the Philippines once kicked out American bases in the 1990s. But today, those bases are back, closer than ever to Taiwan and the South China Sea. From these locations, the U.S. can launch surveillance flights, deploy troops, and even position missiles within striking distance of China's coastline. And it doesn't stop there. In Japan, home to around 54,000 American troops, the U.S. is upgrading its forces and weapon systems. Washington has deployed advanced fighter jets, missile defense systems, and is even reorganizing its Marine Corps units to be more mobile and capable of island-hopping warfare, a strategy clearly aimed at the island chains near China. In South Korea, the U.S. stations nearly 30,000 troops along with advanced missile defense systems like THAAD. Officially, these forces are there to deter North Korea, but Beijing knows the reality. Those same radars and missiles can track and target China. For Beijing, the U.S. presence in South Korea is not just about Pyongyang. It's another piece of the strategic wall Washington is building around China. To Beijing, this looks like America is building a military ring around China. Japan in the north, the Philippines in the south, Guam in the Pacific, and bases in South Korea. When you put it all together, it paints a clear picture. Washington is not just defending Asia, it's positioning itself to choke China in a conflict. What makes it even more alarming is the growing joint military exercises between the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines. These war games are not random drills. They are conducted near disputed waters and clearly designed to send a message to Beijing that America is building a coalition to challenge China's maritime claims. This aggressive buildup raises an obvious question. If America truly wants peace, why does it need nearly 1,000 bases worldwide and 9 in the Philippines alone, right on China's doorstep? For China, this is not defensive. This is America deliberately tightening the noose. From China's perspective, this isn't just about a few small islands or reefs. The South China Sea is a lifeline. Nearly 60% of China's trade passes through these waters, including vital energy imports like oil and gas. If the U.S. and its allies can dominate or disrupt these sea lanes, they hold China's economic survival in their hands. That is why Beijing calls this region a core interest, just as vital as Taiwan. Losing control here wouldn't just be a territorial loss, it would be a strategic disaster. For Beijing, defending the South China Sea is about protecting its future, its economy, and its national survival. So why is the United States so determined to confront China in its own backyard? The answer lies in Washington's fear of losing global dominance. For decades, America has been the undisputed power in Asia, projecting influence through its military, alliances, and control of international institutions. But China's rapid rise, from building the world's second-largest economy to leading in technologies like 5G, AI, and green energy, has begun to tip the balance. A confident and self-reliant China challenges the very foundation of U.S. hegemony, not only in Asia but on the global stage. This is why Washington positions itself in disputes such as Taiwan and the South China Sea, framing them as battles for democracy, when in reality, they are about preserving American supremacy. To maintain that dominance, the U.S. often thrives in chaos and division. By provoking tensions, it hopes to disrupt China's trade, undermine its regional partnerships, and force Beijing to divert resources from economic growth to military defense. The more unstable Asia becomes, the more Washington can justify its presence as the so-called protector of the region. Every new military base, every joint exercise, every patrol near Chinese waters reinforces that message. Yet in truth, these actions are less about safeguarding peace and more about ensuring America stays at the top. For China, which prospers in stability and cooperation, this constant interference feels less like security and more like a deliberate attempt to sabotage its rise. This raises a critical question. Is the United States truly defending peace, or is it deliberately pushing China into a corner where conflict becomes inevitable? Taiwan and the South China Sea are not minor disputes. They are flashpoints that could ignite a war with devastating consequences. If the U.S. keeps escalating, the risk of miscalculation grows, and the world may find itself staring at the first great power war of the 21st century. And make no mistake, if such a conflict erupts, it will not be contained between just China and the United States. The entire global economy, trade networks, and security order would collapse under the shockwaves. Billions of people would feel the impact. That is why this dangerous game of poking China is not only reckless, it is a gamble with the future of the entire world.